In the north of the Gaza Strip, Israeli forces struck the enclave's capital and satellite towns. Meanwhile, the number of dead in the region has already exceeded 41,000 people, and the number of injured reached 95,000. To the north of Gaza, after Hamas strikes on Ashkelon, the IDF announced the evacuation of several neighborhoods of Beit Lahia. However, no Israeli troop movements have been recorded so far. There were intermittent exchanges of fire in the vicinity of the University College in southwestern Gaza. Despite this, the line of contact did not change significantly over time. In the central part of the enclave, the Israelis periodically launched air and artillery strikes against various targets. Nuseirat again came under the most concentrated fire, with civilian casualties. There were also several hits on residential buildings in different neighborhoods of Ħarejh. In just one day, Israeli Air Force airstrikes on the settlement killed at least 50 people. Meanwhile, Palestinian militias shelled IDF positions in the Netzarim corridor. Judging by the lack of reports of evacuation helicopters, these attacks had no tangible effect. In the south of the enclave, Israeli units carried out engineering work in the Philadelphia corridor. At the same time, the IDF were preparing for the likely conclusion of the main phase of the fighting in Rafah. Clashes continued in the Tel al-Sultan neighborhood in the northern part of the city. An IDF operation there resulted in the elimination of up to 300 Hamas militants. Israel's summer camps operation continued in the West Bank. At last count, security forces had detained some 10,800 Palestinians since the beginning of the conflict on October 7, 2023. In Jerusalem, a Palestinian Authority man stabbed an Israeli border guard officer. The Israeli was lightly wounded, and the perpetrator of the attack was eliminated by return fire. And in Ashkelon, Israel, the country's intelligence services arrested an Iranian intelligence agent. He turned out to be businessman Moti Maman. He was assigned to assassinate several prominent government officials, including the Prime Minister and Defense Minister. The situation along the Lebanese-Israeli border has escalated significantly. Hezbollah fighters carried out massive shelling of northern Israel. Several people were injured, including IDF fighters. In turn, Israeli hackers remotely detonated Hezbollah pagers. A series of explosions affected at least 4,000 people, including Iran's ambassador to Lebanon. A few days later, the IDF Air Force carried out one of the largest airstrikes on Lebanon. About 30 launchers of the Lebanese group were hit. There were reports of casualties. The Dahiyeh neighborhood, a suburb of the Lebanese capital, where several Hezbollah-owned buildings are located, was also attacked. A building where a prominent member of the group was meeting with a Palestinian delegation was hit.